thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile, who hooked us up with a couple of Motorola Droids for Verizon for review and giveaway on the OnePod Bandit. Best Buy Mobile, they've got this thing, walk out working, you buy their phone there, they make sure you're set up and working before you leave the store, so thanks again to them for the loaners. But enough of that, on to the dogfight. Is the operating system and the chipset inside of it. And this is where the Nexus One, everything else I've talked about so far, relatively subjective in terms of the form factor, in terms of if you like the slider better or not. The network coverage, in general, Verizon has a larger network in the US and perhaps higher customer satisfaction. Although T-Mobile is cheaper, if you get this phone on T-Mobile, your monthly plan will be cheaper. I read one report that said on average about $20 a month cheaper than Verizon. It depends on what plan you get, in terms of your voice and data and all that. But most likely paying a little bit less per month on T-Mobile than Verizon. But all that other stuff kind of being, a little bit more subjective or variable in terms of where you're going to use the phone. One thing that's not subjective and variable is that the Nexus One has a faster chipset with the Qualcomm 1 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon, and it has Android 2.1, which is a more advanced, just better version of the software than the 2.0 that's running on the Droid. So the big differences are you've got 5 home screens available, stock out of the box on Nexus One. Of course, you can replace your home screens on Android, but out of the box you've got 5 home screens. You've got the live wallpaper, which is more of just a little nifty thing here. Here you can see I'm creating ripples in the water and that kind of stuff. Not a big deal with the live wallpaper, but kind of fun. You've got to change to the application drawer. So on Android 2.0, you click the application drawer, it slides up. On 2.1, you hit the icon and your apps kind of zoom in. And then to get back, you just hit the home icon to go back to your home screen. Hello. As opposed to on here, you hit the drawer. Minor thing, it doesn't really change the functionality, but I think this is a little bit more kind of consumer friendly, a little bit less confusing to the non-smartphone, expert. You could pretty easily argue that, well, it's just an arrow, it's pretty obvious. But I think, just the home icon even showing up on this screen, it just looks a little more familiar with the dual home icons. Anyway, so that's a change. The eye candy here, with the kind of 3D effects as you scroll through the apps, minor thing. Just a little more the bounce and the way they kind of roll off the top and the bottom of the screen, just a visual change. But then on 2.1, you get the voice input, which is an experimental feature, I'd still say at this point. Basically, anywhere that you have the ability to type in text, you can instead hit the voice icon. This is a bad example, actually, because search, you have voice search already. A little bit of an issue here with my my touch-sensitive icon. There we go. If we go to messaging, I'll show you right here. I'll click messaging, and then we'll go back to the landscape mode, and we'll go into the type box. And so now I've got a little microphone icon that I can click over the lazy sheep dog. And there you go, voice input, and that's how it worked pretty well. If you look at the other, my Nexus One review video, you can see a pretty funny example of where it didn't work. But so that's not available on Android 2.0, which, not a huge thing just yet because it's kind of experimental, and you've still got the ability to do voice search on Android 2.0. But, the ability to do voice input, voice-to-text input in any text field anywhere in the system is new to 2.1, which is pretty cool. And in general, the phone just runs faster because it's a more optimized, it's a newer version of the operating system, so it's a little bit more optimized. And then also, the Snapdragon processor is noticeably faster as well. And so if we look at the web browsers on both phones, very similar. I think maybe some slight improvements to 2.1. But in general, looking very similar. The system update will do that later. Thanks. you can see, you know, a little bit more of the web page. That last line of text there, copyright 2010 privacy, displays on the Droid, but not on the Nexus One because you've got those 54 extra pixels. The Droid 854 the long way, the Nexus One only 800, so you have to scroll up to get that last little bit there, which, you know, on certain pages might be kind of an issue. Let's you know, we'll go to the text field there. We'll go to dog. I want phone dog. Oh, phone dog reviews. I'll take that. We'll go over here. We'll use the phone dog. And we'll go to the phone dog homepage on both devices. And again, replacement browsers are available. The Dolphin Browser is one that does support multi-touch. And by multi-touch, I mean pinching and zooming, basically. So you can double tap to zoom in. This didn't take me to the homepage, actually. It took me to our reviews index. You can double tap to zoom in and out on both, you know, on the devices as is. You just can't do the pinching and zooming, which some people don't like, some people really do like. I happen to be a fan of it. I like the ability to, you know, I like having the trackball available for navigation. I like being able to double tap. I like being able to pinch and zoom. And frankly, you can do it on an iPhone. You can do it on a Palm Pre. You can do it on HTC Sense enabled Android devices like the Hero and the Droid Aris. So why can't you do it on these Google devices? You know, so that's one thing I'd like to see corrected. But, you know, for all I know, Google's going to push out a Nexus One update, you know, in the next few days, or a Droid update that'll do it. That'd be pretty sweet. So the Droid loaded up with the Phone Dog homepage. The Nexus One's still going there. But again, you know, the double tapping works, and the pages look great. The screens look great on both phones. All right, and here you can see both phones have the Phone Dog homepage loaded up. And if we zoom in a little, oh, some of the images I guess didn't load on the Nexus, but that's all right. So if we zoom in a little bit and we go to the top of the page there, you can kind of see, you know, you get that one extra line of text again on the Droid. So there's a little bit of a difference, a little more scrolling you have to do on the Nexus One than the Droid because of those the 54 pixel difference. But, you know, in the real world, probably not going to affect you all that much. Or at least me, I wouldn't be all that worried about it. But, you know, it depends on what you like out of your device. One last thing to talk about real quick with the difference between 2.0 and 2.1 is the gallery. The gallery has been updated for Android 2.1. And personally, I really like the changes as opposed to Android 2.0. Both of these phones have 5 megapixel cameras with autofocus, LED flash, and video capture. And the camera app is nicer now in Android 2. Both 2.0 and 2.1 have the nicer camera app. I'll show you real quick on the Nexus. This is what happens. I get all sidetracked, but I want to show you all the features. So as compared to Android 1, the camera app, just more user-friendly. You've got this little drawer on the side here with your camera settings. And then your shutter button, and then you can switch between video and still imagery, and then go back to your gallery. And then all of your sharing options. That's a terrific picture I took of some junk, some gum and some headphone cords, and then all your options for sharing and all that kind of stuff. We'll go back to the gallery. So the gallery on 2.1 here on the Nexus, just a little bit nicer to use. I think the visual's nicer with a little stack of photos there as opposed to just the, you know, the grid style. And then we'll go into, you know, it separates your camera roll versus downloaded pictures versus Dropbox. We'll go into both, and you know, you've got, obviously I've got more pictures over here than on the Nexus, but you can have your grid style, or you can switch and you can sort by date and it shows the location information. and it shows the location information, and just a little bit, again, just a little more kind of user-friendly and just a little bit slicker, a little more in line with what other operating systems are offering in terms of, flexibility and user interface, visual eye candy, that kind of stuff on the 2.1. So nice to see that improvement. And, that'll obviously, as other devices get updated to 2.1, you'll see the new gallery style on those phones as well. So in summary, I'll tell you this. My pick for the dogfight, the winner, is the Nexus One. Why? Android 2.1 and Snapdragon are the things I can objectively say make this the winner. And for me, subjectively, I like the form factor better. I like, like I said, I like the way it feels in my hand. I like the lightweight. I like the touchscreen only because I'm not such a big fan of the Droid's hard keyboard. But putting all that aside, just in terms of objectivity, with the Nexus One, you're getting Android 2.1 and you're getting it running on a faster machine with the Snapdragon processor inside. And so, you're just getting a little bit more bang for your buck. It's also a little bit less of a buck because on T-Mobile, you're probably going to wind up paying a little bit less on your monthly service. So that's my winner, is the Nexus One. But they're both, very, very solid Android devices, really flexible, great screens. They both work quite well. And, some people some people do like the form factor and the keyboard of the Droid more than I do. So there you go. If you're on Verizon, don't despair because the Nexus One is coming to Verizon. Google said it when they launched the Nexus One. You'll see it on Verizon and Vodafone in Europe, for that matter, sometime this spring, so probably in the next couple of months. And then also some rumors kicking around about some other HTC-made Android phones coming soon, perhaps to what carriers, I don't know, but something like this with an optical trackpad. You're going to have to check out Phone Dog for more on that, because I don't know, it's just, you check that out. Check out Droid Dog also while I think Droid Dog's on that monitor over my shoulder there. Our own John Walton running Droid Dog for all the in-depth Android news that, we just can't fit on the pages of Phone Dog. You can get way more in-depth with rooting and modding and app reviews and all that kind of stuff over there. But again, for me, it's the Nexus One. Thanks again to the folks at Google and Verizon for the loaners and Best Buy Mobile for the droids we're giving away. And thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next time. My name is Noah. The website's phonedog.com. Bye-bye.